Hello there. Today we are at the Counseling and Testing Center, or CTC. If you are struggling with anxiety, feel overwhelmed, or need someone to talk to about a serious or private issue, the wonderful staff here at CTC can help you deal with those stressors. The following series of videos are topics based on the different types of services CTC offers and how they can benefit you as you deal with the inevitable challenges of college life.
Hello, my name is Betsy Pierce and I'm on staff here in the Counseling and Testing Center. I'm one of the therapists and I appreciate that you've joined me to kind of look at some stress management ideas today. I always say that if you're breathing, you've got stress. So it's normal to be stressed sometimes, but I think when we get to where it's just overwhelming and in the way and we notice it all the time, then it's time to look at what do we need to be doing to handle this better. One of the easy parts about stress management is identifying our stresses. Most of us could say, well, it's work or it's family, it's job, it's for students, it's classes and crazy professors and making the grades and expectations, or maybe a lot of our stresses are relationship based, whether that's dysfunctional family back home or a dating relationship that's not going well. So again, you can see what I'm doing with this. You can name your stresses pretty easily. Now, sometimes it's the hidden ones that get in our way. Most of us have had the experience of going through something and then when it's over we think, oh boy, I didn't realize how much that was getting to me. So I do think it is worthwhile sometimes to kind of stop and take stock and why am I feeling so tense? Is there something going on I'm not aware of? And kind of get a handle on, where my stresses are coming from. And I think it's really important for us to realize too that while stress is normal, it is not realistic to get rid of all of our stresses. That is not our life. So I think we need to look at where can I decrease or get rid of some of them. Again, as a student, you're going to be stressed with classes as long as you are a student. But are you taking too many classes at a time? Are you trying to be in too many organizations while being a full-time student and maybe working that job? So where can we get rid of stresses realistically? One example of that is if it is a relationship that you're in, is that it's just draining and exhausting. Good relationships are a lot of work, but they should not just cause you fatigue and stress and tears all the time. So is that something you need to get out of? Or do you have a dysfunctional family member back home? You can't divorce mom or dad or brother or sister, but can you realistically cut back on your contact with that person? Sometimes that's okay to do. I will probably say more than once that it is not selfish to take care of self, and that is something that is really paramount in stress management. So again, where can we get rid of stresses realistically? Are you a people pleaser? Sometimes here in the counseling center, I work with folks who admit, I'm a people pleaser. I say yes to too much. I can't say no. And that certainly is a stress builder. So I would say to that person, and have said in working with folks like that, what is it that you fear about saying no to somebody? What is so important about being that yes person? And take a good look at what that fear is about no. Because I would offer that it is only fair to say no sometimes. And there are tactful ways to do that. It is okay to say to somebody who asks you to serve on, the 20th committee, I would really be interested in that, but my schedule doesn't allow it. Or that sounds like a lot of fun, but right now I'm spread so thin I just can't. So there are nice ways to say no, and I don't think people lose respect for us. I think they realize, even if they're aggravated in the moment, that we would not have done a great job if we had spread ourselves too thin, and they're glad in the long run that maybe we said no. So again, asking yourself, why do I need to say yes to a lot, and practicing doing that. It's kind of like making that phone call you don't want to make and you dread, but you can envision the relief that you're going to feel once you've done it. So envisioning that relief about saying no once you've let yourself do that, I think can be motivating to kind of start practicing that. You can't be a doormat if you're not lying down, so you don't want to be that person that says yes all the time. So in thinking about what our stresses are, where do they come from, which ones can we decrease or get rid of, or not, let's think about how to manage that, because people think about stress, they think about stress management. So in coping with it in more healthy ways, what are you doing to take care of you? What are you doing for self-care? Are you a perfectionist? Now, we're not going to wave a magic wand and you not be a perfectionist anymore, but are there places where instead of trying to make something 110%, you can go with 90% and still do an awesome job without pulling your own hair out? So, is that something in your own character that you can work on? What do you need to add to your schedule that is the self-care? I always talk to students who are struggling with stress about what works for you stress-wise, what helps, and then what is realistic for you to do. Now, of course, that's different for everybody as far as what decreases my stress. I like to read, watch certain TV shows. A lot of people share those interests, or they play video games, or they exercise, which is an awesome one for clearing the mind. A lot of people listen to music. So it can be lots of different things. And I would say, I hope it is different things, because the same thing is not going to help every day. Different things, different days, as long as we use them. And I practice what I preach on that one. I think we've all got to take that time for self. Then you hear people say, well, I don't have time to do that. I would like to do so-and-so, but I don't have time. I would say if you truly do not have 10 or 15 minutes a day for yourself, something needs to go. And I don't believe we lose that time. I think we go back to whatever we have to do in such a better frame of mind that we're as productive or more productive. So I don't think we lose that time. And I also believe we are creatures that like to look forward to things. I think it is stress relieving if when we wake up in the morning and we kind of run through our day's events, but I say, okay, at 2 o'clock or at 7 o'clock, I'm going to take a few minutes and do so-and-so for me. I think it is stress relieving to look forward to that. And then I think it is stress relieving when we do it, and hopefully rejuvenating that. Students have been told since college ever began, don't cram for exams. And I mention that because it is related to too much stress. If we try to cram anything or do anything, whether it's studying, too long at a time, our brain stops absorbing. And if we don't absorb it, we're sure not going to recall it later. So whether it's taking breaks in studying or just taking breaks throughout the day, we really need to do that self-care. And again, we won't lose the time. We've got to do that when you talk about managing stress. So getting rid of stress where you can, decreasing it where you can, not taking on more than is feasible, and then something for self-care absolutely every day. Finally, the point I would like to make about improving our self-care coping, I wish we could get away from the word management. That sounds very dictatorship kind of thing to ourselves. But pay attention, please, to your inner dialogue. What are you telling yourself? Are you saying to yourself, oh, I'm so stressed out, or I stay freaked out all the time, or that's going to be a huge stress? At some point it becomes we believe what we tell ourselves. So I'm so stressed out about that means I'm setting myself up to be stressed out about that. Or this is going to be awful because it's always been awful in the past. Well, maybe not. It's kind of like maybe you failed the history test in the past, but that doesn't absolutely mean you're going to next time, So be very careful about that inner conversation, because again, we come to believe that. And if we tell ourselves often enough, I can't, I shouldn't, or I should do, ought to, and then that's too much, we set ourselves up and it just becomes this negative recording in our head all the time. So I'm not suggesting that we just, do a 180 and everything's rosy and the world is wonderful and life is grand all the time. That's not reality either. But perspective is huge, huge in stress management and in coping in more healthy ways. So if you can kind of start looking at what am I telling myself, and am I setting myself up to either fail or be more stressed just for my own inner conversation, maybe I can change that a little bit, okay? So hopefully this has given you some things to think about in coping better with your own stress. Again, I work here at the Counseling and Testing Center. We are in Potter Hall up on the 4th floor, and a lot of what we do is individual personal counseling with students. So if you feel like there is ever any issue that you would like further help with, I would encourage you to call us at 745-3159. Make an appointment. You're not obligated to a bunch of sessions. Just see what's going on with you.